Hello guys, welcome back to another video on Guys Hit the 7 Football. We're on our last video for the season in terms of FPL. So first, let's go over the topics we're going to cover within this video. First, we're going to go over our Game Week 37 review in terms of points and how we've done. Next, we're going to go over the most transferred in players for this last game week and the most transferred out players as well. Next, we're going to move on to the best fixtures for Game Week 38. And then after that, we're going to move on to our Game Week 38 transfer plans. And lastly, we're going to touch up on our Game Week 38 predictions. So first, let's move on to my team for this Game Week 37 and how I performed within this week. I managed to hit a whopping 145 points. Of course, I took a -4, so that leaves me at 141 points with a overall green arrow of within the 400,000s, which is not bad in terms of where I was before. So let's take a look at my team and what were my star key players within my team. First up is pretty much Guardiola with a massive 27 points. He managed to score 2 goals within the double game week, and he kept a clean sheet as well, which overall managed to score him a massive 27 points. Pedro Porro as well. He did score within the one of the game weeks against Burnley, so he managed to score overall a 10 points, which is not bad. Within my midfield, Foden and Palmer both got overall pretty good returns with both, I believe, scoring. Um, with Gordon, I believe, getting an assist, and overall, Son has not been performing the best. I do believe he did have a good double against Burnley and City, but he did miss a couple of chances. Now moving up top with, of course, Holland being my captaincy, and against Tottenham, he did prove himself, and he managed to score 15 points. Overall, as I said before, I did manage to bench boost. So overall, my bench boost was pretty okay in terms of Pickford. He did manage to keep a clean sheet. Mateta did manage to score, and Gabriel did manage to keep another clean sheet as well.
Yeah, so now moving on to what I did for game week 37. I did 130 -4. And some of the players to point out, I had 10 players for that double game week. One of the players here in goal, Vicario with 4 points. My backline three did do pretty well. Walker with 13, Pedro with a goal with 10, Guardoval 27, and then my midfield five of Foden getting a goal in there as well. Havertz, I believe he got an assist in there. Palmer with 14 points. Son, my captaincy not doing very well, not showing up, especially up against that City game where he did have some chances and wasn't able to convert. Bruno Fernandes also having a double game week, but he only played one of the games and got 5 points. So a little disappointing there. And then Isaac, not doing very well. Jackson, 7 points. I believe he got a goal in there this week. And then we did the bench boost, so 21 points overall with Pickford, Watkins, Reglone, and White. So yeah, that's what I did for this week.
Okay, so now moving on to the most transferred in players for game week 38. First off, we do have within our first pick, we do have Guardiola with over 100,000 managers transferring him in for this last game week. Of course, Man City have everything to play for, and Man City assets are probably the best for this last game week, with Foden and Holland also being good assets if you don't have him in your team. Overall, Guardiola has been showing the class that he is, the class of type player that he is, with those 2 goals that he did score within those 2 goals that he did score, and also keeping a couple clean sheets. Our second player on our list is, of course, Elisa from Crystal Palace, which Crystal Palace have been in great form in terms of their last 5 fixtures. In their last 5 fixtures, they did manage to win 4 out of the 5 fixtures without a loss. And Michael Elisa has definitely been one of the players that has been contributing within Crystal Palace. And overall, in terms of Crystal Palace, they are great picks for the last fixtures, where they are facing Aston Villa at home, and overall Mateta as well as a pretty good option to have within your team.
Now going on to the most transferred out players for FPL this week. First on our list, we have Saka from Arsenal. I believe last game he did get a knock, and he hasn't been contributing as of late. I believe he did get a goal couple game weeks back, but he hasn't been a big contributor to his team as of late. A player that has been contributing for him is, or not for him, but for his team is Kai Havertz, a player that I do have on my team and has been producing very well. And another player that we have on this list is Bruno Fernandes, who is last game did have a double game week, and this Manchester United team, who doesn't really have much to play, he they are going to be playing against Brighton. They are in the 8th position, but they even if they win this game, it is kind of tough to get into that 6th position because they do have a big differential in terms of goals. So I don't think Bruno Fernandes is coming out of a little bit slight of an injury. So I believe last game he did get subbed out, but um, he is gonna play this game. It's just I think Manchester United are gonna hold back a little bit more and just save for that Manchester City game and for the FA Cup final.
Let's move on to the best fixtures for game week 38. We have compiled a list of 6 teams that we are going to go over for this last fixture or for this last game week. First on our list is, of course, Man City against West Ham. As I spoke about before, Man City have everything to play for, and pretty much they have the whole Premier League. The Premier League title is within their hands. So against West Ham, it's very good. It's very important to at least have a triple up on City, whereas I do believe Ederson has been given a knock against that Spurs side that they did face. So whether or not he's going to play, I don't really know, but I do believe that Ortega Moreno from City is probably going to be the best option to replace Ederson if it is an urgency type of pick. Overall, City do have some of the best players as well as they do have Holland, Foden, and Guardiola.
Yeah, so now going on to this next game on our list, we have Everton versus Arsenal. Arsenal is going to be playing at home, and they are still in that title race. So everything, this Arsenal team is going to put their best team forward. And some players to note out for this game, we have Kai Havertz. We have the Arsenal defense of Ben White, Saliba, and Gabriel, and even Raya in there. I believe they could get some good points, possibly even get a clean sheet in there, as they are winning. They are hoping to win this game and Man City to at least tie, so they could come up on top for the Premier League. Next on our list here we have Liverpool versus Wolves. Liverpool is going to be playing at home. They're going to be playing more for in terms of pride. This is going to be Jurgen Klopp's last game at home, and they are going to be playing this Wolves team, who I don't think is the best team defensively. I think this is a good opportunity for players like Mohamed Salah, Harvey Elliott, or even a Luis Diaz up top.
Now moving on to our fourth pick, we do have Chelsea against Bournemouth. As Chelsea also do have a lot to play for. They are currently sitting within that 6th spot in the Europe competition spot. So Chelsea as well. This is their last game of the season. So Chelsea as well do have a lot to play for. And top players within Chelsea are pretty much Palmer and a Nicholas Jackson and a Petrovic if you have Petrovic within one of your goalkeeper slots. Um, in terms of Chelsea, a good captaincy for Chelsea, a differential captaincy would be a Cole Palmer, where I do believe a lot of players are going to go with that captaincy on Holland. Given that, we do have our 5th spot is Newcastle against Brentford. Also, Newcastle are fighting for that 6th position against Chelsea, um, where it's pretty much all in or Chelsea's hands to kind of give up that position. But Newcastle are also going to have a good, or at least they're going to go all out against Brentford. and key players as well being Isaac, Byrne, and Gordon from Newcastle.
Lastly, on our list, we have this Spurs against Sheffield United. Spurs are going to be playing away this game, but they are going to be going against the regulated Sheffield United. Um, a very poor defensive Sheffield United, who this season did concede 101 goals. So I do think this is a good opportunity for like a Son or even like an attacking Pedro Porro, and also even like a Vicario, possibly even getting like a clean sheet in there for this Spurs team.
So now moving on to our last game week 38 transfer plans. I do have one free transfer and 6 million in the bank. And overall, looking at my team, I don't have many flaws, but looking into that midfield more specifically, I'm looking at Garnacho. I do have 6 million in the bank, and Garnacho is a cheap option that has usually in terms of my last and the last game week where he did have a double fixture. Garnacho has not been performing the best, and I do believe I'm going to be transferring him out this last game week for a Kai Havertz. Whereas Kai Havertz and Arsenal do have everything to play for, and Kai Havertz has been pretty much the best informed player for Arsenal as well. So given that transfer, this is how I'm going to be lining up for game week 38, and this is my team selection. I do have a formation of a 3-5-2 with 3.4 million in the bank to spare. First up is in goal Vicario against Sheffield United, and with my back three being Gabriel, Guardiola, and Pedro Porro. A midfield five of Foden, Palmer, Havertz, Gordon, and Son. And a up front, I do have Mateta and Holland, with my captaincy, of course, being on Holland against that West Ham at home fixture that they do have everything to play for. Now, on the bench, I do have Isaac and Byrne, my two Newcastle options, mainly for the fact that Newcastle do not perform the best when they are away from home.
Yeah, so now going on to my game week 38 transfer plan. I'm going to be transferring out Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United for a Harvey Elliott from Liverpool. And the reason being, I do. Bruno Fernandes last game did get me disappointed, only playing one game, being fit for, I believe, two of them. And he did get a 5 points that last game against Newcastle, but I think Harvey Elliott gonna be playing at home this last game, and I believe has been producing for his team as of late in terms of like shots on target and like assists and goals. I do think he's a good differential for this week, and hoping that he'll be able to get some good points there. Now going on to my lineup for this week, we have a 3-5-2 with 4.1 million in the bank. First in goal, we have Vicario in goal over Pickford, who Pickford is going to be going up against Arsenal, so I believe Vicario is a better pick. And my back line of three, who last week did produce some very good points, Ben White, Pedro Porro, and Guardiola. My midfield five with Phil Foden, Kai Havertz, Palmer, Son, and Elliott, with my captaincy being on Cole Palmer. And he is going to be playing at home against Bournemouth, so hoping that he could get some good points there. And up top, I have Ollie Watkins and Nicholas Jackson. Um, I do have also Isaac on the bench. As of late, he hasn't been producing, haven't hasn't been scoring, so I do prefer like a Watkins over an Isaac. But this is my lineup for this week.
All right, so now moving on to our game week 38 predictions. So first, let's go and move on to Arsenal versus Everton. Arsenal are at home against this Everton side, and Arsenal pretty much still do have everything to play for, pretty much banking on the fact that's either City draw or lose against West Ham. But yeah, given those reasons, I do believe Arsenal are going to dominate Everton and win the game at 3-1.
Yeah, I think they're gonna win this game. They're even possibly gonna get a clean sheet in there. So gonna be a good game for that Arsenal defense or goalkeeper. I think that Arsenal's gonna win this one 2-0 at home.
So now moving on to Brentford versus Newcastle. Brentford are facing Newcastle at home. Given the fact that Newcastle are still fighting for that top six position for a Europe position, I do believe Newcastle, even though Newcastle do seem to struggle more when they are away from home, I do believe they're going to beat this Brentford side 1-3.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to pull off this win as well. Be able to win this 1-0.
Now moving on to Brighton against Manchester United. Brighton do have Manchester United at home, and given the fact that United are pretty much it's pretty much impossible for United to get within that top six position. I do believe United are still going to end the game or end the season strong, and they're going to manage to beat Brighton 2-4.
I also have Manchester United winning this one 2-1 away.
Now moving on to Chelsea against Bournemouth. Chelsea last week did manage to win both of their games in their double, and Bournemouth also did manage, or Bournemouth lost against Brentford at home. So given the fact that Chelsea also are fighting for that top six position at the moment, it's pretty much all in Chelsea's hands to keep that position. So given those two factors, I do believe Chelsea at home are going to beat Bournemouth 3-1.
Yeah, Chelsea has been playing very well as of late, getting four straight wins in a row, and I think they're gonna get another one this week, beating Bournemouth 2-1.
Now moving on to Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace have been in exceptional form pretty much in their last five fixtures. They've managed to win four out of the five fixtures. And Aston Villa, on in terms of form, their last fixture against Liverpool, they did manage to tie the game. So up against Aston Villa are still fighting for that, or at least Aston Villa are within that top four position, and pretty much within that Champions League as well. Given that it is at Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa do seem to struggle a little bit when they are away from home, and I do believe this game is going to end in a 2-2 draw.
I think Aston Villa is gonna show up for this last game, and they're gonna be able to win this one 2-1 away.
Now moving on to our next fixture, Liverpool against Wolves. Liverpool are at home for their last fixture against Wolves. And given that Liverpool, this is Jurgen Klopp's last game with Liverpool, I do believe there's going to be a very good game in terms of how Liverpool are going to perform. And overall, Liverpool in their last fixture, they did manage to draw against Aston Villa, and Wolves are not in the great form where they did lose against Crystal Palace, losing the game 3-1. As I said before, this is Jurgen Klopp's last fixture, and I do believe it's going to be a good sending off and winning the game 3-1.
Yeah, I think this is a very good game for Liverpool. Just giving it back to Jorgen and trying to get that win. I do think this is. I'm hoping that it's going to be a good game for Harvey Elliott. I'm expecting at least he gets one goal in there and one assist. So I think this game is going to be a 3-1 win for Liverpool. So good chance there.
Now moving on to Luton against Fulham. Both teams last week did lose. Luton did lose against West Ham away 3-1, and Fulham did lose against City at home 4-0. So, given the fact that Luton are pretty much already relegated, it's pretty much up to Nottingham Forest whether or not they are relegated. But overall, it does seem that Luton will be relegated for this season. But I do believe Luton, in their last home fixture against Fulham, are going to have a strong send off, and they're going to beat Fulham 2-1.
Yeah, for this fixture, I have Fulham winning 2-1 away.
Now moving on to our next fixture, Man City against West Ham, the game of the season, pretty much, where this is all up to City to win the Prem. This is a home fixture for City, and overall, City in their last fixtures they have been pretty much very dominant in their wins, even up against Spurs, where they did manage to beat them 2-0. Up against West Ham, an overall overall, West Ham has not been the best in terms of team. And I do believe City, given the fact that they are fighting for that Prem title, they are going to win. They're going to beat West Ham 3-2.
Yeah, I think this is definitely decisive. I'm hoping that Arsenal wins this title. So it is going to be tough for West Ham, considering that they are going to be playing away. But last game, I think they did win. So they don't have the best defense. So it's all about holding down that City team. They do have a team for it. It's just whether they're gonna show up that game. I do think they will be able to show up and get that tie for Arsenal, so Arsenal could get that title in.
Now moving on to our last fixture for this season, we do have Sheffield United against Spurs. Sheffield United are facing Spurs at home, and pretty much Sheffield United have already been relegated a couple games before this, but Spurs are still fighting for pretty much that top four spot against Chelsea. So it's pretty much up to Spurs whether or not they get that position or that top five. I mean, it's up to Spurs whether they get that top five position. And I do believe against Sheffield United, a very weak opposition, Spurs are going to manage to win this game 4-1.
Yeah, definitely a game that Tottenham should be winning this game. I believe they haven't been doing well as of late. Last 5 games they've lost a good majority of them. But this one they should definitely be winning, even though it's going to be away. But I do think it's going to be a close game. They're going to win it 2-1.
And that's it. That's all we have for this video. Thank you guys for watching. This is gonna be our last video in terms of this season for FPL, but we are probably gonna have some content over the summer on the Copa America in terms of fantasy as well.